Well, hello everyone. This is the Baby Lock 5260 Serger vintage piece, and I'm going to show you how it is threaded. It's very simple. What's great about the Baby Lock 5260, it is color coded, and at the top you have, up here, you have your thread guide bar, and there are dots that show you which color that it corresponds to on the machine itself on the knobs. So you have a blue tension disc, you have a green tension disc, yellow, and then an orange. And from right to left is the lower looper thread cone. Then the upper looper is the next one. Your right needle is on the third one, and the last one there, which is basically considered number one, that is for your left needle. So once you get your thread cones in, you feed the thread from the back to the front, back to the front, come down to the corresponding colored hole in the top, and I can show you that real quick. As you can see, the holes guides are actually color coded as well to correspond with the dials or the tension disc on the front. Now, first thing you want to do, I'm going to get this situated for you, is you take your third thread cone, and I've done different colors on my machine so that you can see where a looper might be not behaving or not doing what it's supposed to do. So you always want to open the front door. The front door inside it actually shows you a picture of how to thread the machine. So the key to it is to not do 4, 3, 2, 1. You actually want to do the third one first, which is your upper looper. And on this machine, that's the green disc, tension disc. That is this one. This is 4, 3, 2, 1. You can always put a little, sticker on them or label them, and so that you don't forget which one to do first. So if you want to know which ones to thread first, the fourth one, or actually the third thread cone, is actually the first one. This is your upper looper. You can label it upper looper. You can put number 1 for the first one that you want to thread, and then 2, 3, and 4. Or you can do UL for upper looper, LL for lower looper, right needle, RN, left needle, LN. Well, however it works best for you until you get real comfortable with threading your machine and not needing, any kind of cheat sheet kind of thing. So to begin, you do your third thread cone, and that's this one here comes down. There is a thread guide here, a metal thread guide on this machine. Then there's another one in front of this tension disc. So you want to go behind this one, in front of this one, down around the front, then down to your first color-coded thread loop or thread guide here. Then there's another colored thread guide here. Then there's one here, and then one here. And this is the last one you go through before you put it through your your upper looper, excuse me. Now the upper looper, if you cannot get to it or if you feel like you don't have access to it, I've raised my blade. This blade, if it's down, it's kind of hard to get to that upper looper. So since it's not threaded at the moment, when you do this, you just take the hand wheel to the right and you get that upper looper where you can actually see it. And, see it to be able to thread it. And after you come through this last thread guide, you put it through your upper looper and you push the thread to the back. You always put your thread to the back. This is in the wrong place. That is not quite threaded right. I missed a spot. So that's your upper looper. The lower looper is the last thread cone goes up, then back down. This actually goes behind that same first thread guide as the upper looper. This metal one here comes down, goes in front of that metal guide, down through the front of the tension disc, comes down. Then you'll see your first blue marked thread guide. Then you go across. There's another one here. And then you have to go up underneath. Now I took the front off of this so I could kind of show you where that thread goes. Well, let's see if I can get you a visual here. Okay, so if I turn, you see this piece here? That's your lower looper. You see that blue mark there? The thread goes behind this bar, and then it comes up. And then you pull it across to go through your lower looper. Now I have to turn the wheel so you can see it. So it comes out right here, right next to my fingertip. That's the lower looper. There's the lower looper. And that thread goes through here. And that thread, when you pull it to the back, you go over top of this upper looper, where this curvature is. There's a curve there. That thread goes over top. That's very important. If it goes underneath, you are not going to get any chain stitches at all. So it has to go over top. So then for your needles, you take the second thread cone here. It comes down to the second top knob here. It goes around the back side, comes through, goes through this thread guide, and goes into this cutout portion here. Now I'm going to show you from the side because it has two spaces. When you put that thread through here, that second one, it comes under this part that points out, comes under it and goes through here, down. It's supposed to go to the right of that. And it goes down into the needle behind this thread guide here. And then put it through the needle and again towards the back. Same thing with the left needle, same way. Starts up at the top, comes down, goes to the right side, goes over the back of this to keep it a little higher than the second needle, or the right needle, and then it goes down through this same cutout, down through that thread guide, and then through the needle and towards the back. And that is how you thread this machine. Now to test it, all you do is turn the wheel towards you and make a few turns of it. And as you see, this one has been making some real, I mean, it's loose because there's no fabric in there. If I was actually stitching this on fabric, that would be edging it very nicely. Now, one key part to this is if you have a hard time getting this threaded in this area, then all you do is you take these two screws out, remove this plate. It's always easier if you take your presser foot off, which I did with this machine. I took the presser foot off. I took the presser foot off so that I'd have more visibility, and you just screw it out, screw it back in. If you still need extra visual help, take off this plate, and that way you can see that clip on that lower looper to be able to put the thread through it. Now, some of you may be using a type of fabric that you think your feed dogs are messing up, like it's not feeding the fabric. Well, sergers are funny when you're working with kind of slippery fabric, and if you don't have a more modern machine that allows you to raise and lower your feed dogs. Typically, sergers, you don't raise or lower the feed dogs. What you do change is the pressure of the presser foot. Now, the tension on the presser foot will need to be adjusted. If you're trying to sew, you should never have to lift your presser foot. You should be able to put your fabric right here, and those teeth will grab it and pull it through. But if it's lagging or it's not consistent in how it's pulling it through, because this does not have differential feed on it, so it doesn't handle slippery fabrics as well, unless you do one thing. You adjust your presser foot tension. Now, where do you do presser foot tension? Well, the presser foot tension on the Baby Lock 5260 is on top. And I'll show you where that is. It is right here. This is your presser foot tension dial. And it's got a big slot in it for a straight screwdriver. So what I do highly suggest, if you find that you're going to need to adjust your tension, you want to get a permanent marker or even actually some nail polish, a bright nail polish, and put a dot on one side and a dot on the other side and do the same thing on that dial in there so that they match up. And then you just turn this with a screwdriver. You can use a quarter. Some people use a dime. And just in small increments turn it to the right. And that will tighten up the tension on your presser foot. That's what will make it tighter on your fabric. And then when you're done with that fabric and you go back to your fabric you were using before, say a regular cotton, well, now your fabric's not going to feed through because it's too tight. So you go back up, and if you line up your dots from the nail polish that you put on it, then what will happen is you will have it back at the original setting when it was feeding your regular fabric just fine. So that's just a little tip for any serger that does not have differential feed. You just have to adjust your presser foot tension. It's on the top of the machine, and you use either a straight edge screwdriver, you can use a dime or a nickel, anything, and just small twists, very small increments. And then when you go to set it back to your original setting, you have those reference dots to line them up, and you'll never have to worry about your tension being off, and your feed dogs will work just fine. Hope this has been helpful. Leave me any comments or questions you might have, and I will do my best to answer them. God bless and have fun sewing.